Good morning. This is another video in the coffee grinder restoration series, and today we've got a Dines raised hopper coffee grinder from, I would say, around about the 1920s, and it's been restored. We've taken it apart, everything's been cleaned, no repairs were necessary for this one. But we've got one problem which you often see on a vintage coffee grinder, which is we have drawer springs, but we've got one missing. There should have been two originally, there's now only one. To be honest, it functions reasonably well with just one. But for the sake of completeness, what we're going to do is we're going to replace that missing drawer spring. And of course, the drawer will centre a little bit better with two springs rather than one. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to need a few things, materials and tools. The most essential is this. This is a strip of 5mm wide, 0.3mm thick clock spring steel. Very, very springy. And this is what we're going to make the drawer springs out of. So we got the spring steel, and then we're also going to need some small tacks. The proper name for the ones you want are gimp pins, and this is probably an ideal size 1.4 by 10mm gimp pin, but I've got some others here. The size we need all depends on what we find as we carry on. We need something to cut the steel. That's a pair of tin snips. We're going to need a little tack hammer. This spring steel is a little bit tricky to drill. You're either going to need a carbide drill. I don't have one, so what I use is a Dremel with a few grinding attachments. And then of course one other thing you'll need for reshaping your springs is a few pairs of pliers. If you're observant, you'll have noticed a little bit of a difference in colour there. This original one is blued and our spring steel is plain. By the way, if you're buying this, you can get stainless, you can get plain, and you can sometimes get blued. So one point to bear in mind is that if you buy stainless, you won't be able to blue it. But what we're going to do is we are going to blue our drawer springs, and for that we're going to use this, which is basically it's a gunsmith's cold blue compound. So first things first, we need to cut two little lengths of this spring steel. So I make it around about there. We're going to cut it with tin snips. And the nice thing about this material is, although it is a spring steel and it's springy, it's not too difficult to work with. So there we go. What we now have is two lengths of spring steel, same kind of length as that one, and now we're going to have to drill some holes in these, and then we're going to form it into the right shape. Take this one off, put these ones in. Simple. Alright, here we are. We're going to drill these holes. I'm not going to explain how to do this in detail. This is something everyone's going to do differently, and also depends very much on what tools you have. Okay, there we have two holes drilled. Now we go back and shape them. Right, now we've drilled our springs, and what we need to do now is just shape them, make sure they're a good shape. And of course, there are a lot of different ways to do this. So we don't have an awful lot of space here. We don't need massive amounts of travel in the spring. So there we are. We've got our two springs, roughly the right profile. Now we're going to blue them and then we're going to fit a bit of isopropyl alcohol, which is a really good degreaser. Now we're going to go blue those. I'm not really going to explain in any detail how to do this. If you're going to do it, you need the right product and just follow the manufacturer's instructions. So we're doing the bluing outside. As I say, I'm not going to go into any great detail. All right. So now we have our two blued drawsprings, and we're going to fit them. So first thing to do is take this one off. I am not confident that that nail hole will hold. So let's see if we've got a larger tack. That might do the trick. If not, we're going to use glue. But I think we've got some slightly larger tacks which are going to be okay. In terms of construction, this method, driving a small tack into an end grain, actually is never going to be great. Sometimes it's a very good idea when you're putting the tack in to give the wood some support. It stops the wood from splitting. So what we're going to do is just clamp that. Seems pretty solid. Now the problem we've got here, I don't know if you can see that there, but the tack is coming through. And that's the kind of problem you'll have to face, because although the basic engineering of these things is very good, sometimes the little details are not finished that well. So you see what we're doing here, we're just driving it in at a different angle slightly, and the fact that the wood's supported makes a big difference here. If you don't do that, you stand a very real chance of splitting it. So there we go, we appear to have it. Our tack is in a new track, 2 new drawsprings. Nice. There you go. That's how to do your drawsprings. Thanks for watching. Feel free to have a look at the links at the end or in the description, and happy grinding. Feel free to comment with your questions.